Alright, hey there YouTube. Got a dreary, misty day over here in Virginia. We're going to work on this other boat motor I've got, the 67 Evinrude, 9.5 horse. Thing's kind of rough actually, I'm not going to lie. It's kind of a rough little engine, but it works, and due to my ignorance and neglect, it overheated last time it was out. So it wasn't because the cooling system didn't work, but it's because I had it trimmed up too high. It cavitated, pulled air in, and then after that happened, I learned how that stuff's supposed to work and how you can hear if your motor's cavitating and all that. But that's my fault. Thankfully, I didn't damage anything. The engine seems to be just fine. But I'm going to check this head to make sure it's not warped. I'm going to put it on a surface plate. I don't have a straight edge, but I'll put it on the surface plate and sand on it a little bit with some, I believe, 800 grit. And that'll show me if I have any high spots, which will show me where the low spots are. If it's not warped, we're just going to throw a head gasket on it. We're going to clean up that surface either way. Throw a head gasket on here and run it, see what we got. You might recall in a recent video I said that we were going to, this one requires you to run it in a trash can because the muffs don't fit this one. That is true. So I'll have to move this when we go to run it, fill up a can, and we'll have to run it that way. Alright. It doesn't look like anything's happened since it's set. Maybe a little bit of crusties. Sprayed a bunch of PB blaster in it last time it ran. A little stuck. I'll have to spray this down with something to spray this down with something to free that up a little bit. It's a good day to get this running. Don't want that to sit too long. Be right back. Yeah, from my experience, older two-stroke engines seem like they're pretty resilient when it comes to getting a little water in them here or there, especially outboards. They're kind of designed to be in a environment with a lot of water. Maybe not in the cylinders, but they handle it. Scrape this gasket material off of here and whatever corrosion built up. Also, I'm going to do a ignition tune-up on it. It's got new plugs, so that's already done, but I'm going to go ahead and do we'll crank it up and run it and make sure everything's good, and then I'll come back and do a ignition tune-up video on this one too. I have points and condensers and a new oil pad and all that stuff. Pretty much everything under the flywheel we're going to replace, other than the coils because they're good. All that's going to get cleaned up and replaced, and so it'll run perfect. We'll do the timing that way too. Yeah, I'll make that a separate video, because then I can go over how to time this with a test light or with a multimeter. Same way you would do an old motorcycle, setting the points on them set the timing up on them. I've actually never done it on an outboard before, but it can be done because it's got timing marks that allow you to do so. It says set B, set points, and which would be the bottom set, and then T, set points for top. Now that's not the timing mark, because that top is at, you know, pretty much bottom dead center. So that's not going to be firing there. There should be a mark on the back somewhere to do that. Alright, I got new head bolts to go in it, and the hole that we're working on is this one right here. There's actually the shell of a bolt left in it. I guess I'll start by drilling that out. We're drilling it out to put a helicoil in it. Binding up in that bolt that's left in there. This isn't working too good here. I don't know what good these bits are, the ones with the carbide tips. You think, ooh, carbide. You're wrong. Not ooh, carbide. Should be ill carbide in this case. Great material, but not for this. Oh yeah, that's what the problem is. Got pieces of bolt down in there. Yeah, look at this. This was a brand new drill bit until I started drilling into aluminum. Now the tip's all gone. I'm not even sure what these are for. It says multiple material. You can drill metal with it. Wouldn't count on it. Let somebody borrow my regular drill bits. Now I'm stuck with those for today. Forgot I let them borrow them until I needed them. There we go, get out of there. Throw that bolt at you. Alright, so we're bottomed out. We didn't go through into anything bad. Alright, so this is the little thread insert kit we're using, just some cheap parts store stuff, but it'll get the job done. I really hope that that drill bit didn't mess that hole up, or we're going to have bigger problems. Ooh, don't want to think about that. I'm thinking about it. I don't even know why I have those drill bits. I bet you they weren't cheaper than the regular bits, but they're junk for everything I've tried to use them for. Like half the set's been ruined just from drilling one hole in soft metal. They have to be for plastic or wood, because I can't see them being for any kind of metal. It's just not possible. Those are for metal. Comes with a handy dandy tap. Specifically for this hole. And they set it up so that it works as a tap wrench, which I can't use right here. So they said to drill a 17/64 hole, which I don't have a 17/64 drill bit. Oh good, that's actually going to engage. I was concerned that hole looked a little bit oval shaped. I was concerned that it wasn't going to, the tap wasn't going to engage the side, but it is. You gotta make sure that you're going in straight, because your hole can be a little crooked. As long as it's only a little bit, you could probably get away with it. But tapping the threads crooked, that's a completely different story. Anyway, so it says to drill a 17/64 hole. Well, my experience has been that you can kind of fudge a 64th, maybe even a 32nd, if you're lucky, with aluminum. If you have a thicker casting, you can probably get away with it in aluminum. On this, it's kind of thin. Let's see, might be able to tell, but it's pretty thin casting right there. So it being a 64th, probably be okay. I wouldn't try a 32nd. That might get ugly. But I checked the size on that drill bit with the calipers, checked the size of that carbide tip, and it wasn't 250. It wasn't 250 thousandths, which would be 1/4 of an inch. It was like 260 thousandths. So it's somewhere between, well, it probably is 17/64. I don't know what size that is. I can't convert that in my head that quickly, but yeah, so it's not even quite 1/4 inch. So not only does it not cut metal very good without breaking, it also isn't even the size they said it is. I'd expect better from you, Irwin. You lied. But good news is it's a pretty low compression engine. It's pretty low bolt torque, so there's not a whole lot to be concerned about here. And this did run with a broken head bolt in it before. I don't think that's the reason the head gasket was blown, just because of how low power, low compression this engine is. But there wasn't any water leakage over here, or any evidence of the head gasket being blown there. I don't think the head gasket was blown, but I pulled the head off to make sure I didn't score the cylinders up overheating it that much. I don't think this head's ever been off either, so. I should have done that to begin with. It was starting so easy I didn't even think about it. Alright. Looks pretty decent. Don't have much option if it didn't. Try to clean this all up again. Had to do helicoil repairs a couple times in the past. I think they're kind of fun, because it's just interesting that you can even do this. Someone came up with this idea. Just below the surface. Let's check it with one of the old bolts. And it's got a nice tight fit, so just because of the way that hole turned out, it's kind of got a cone shape to it. I might put the threads in a little bit further just to save myself some headache of pulling these out, if it'll let me. I don't think I'm going to do the full depth. Oh, I already snapped the It didn't take much to snap that off. I just turned it backwards. Okay, well, I guess they're staying put. If it comes out, oh well. I'll just be careful on that one. It feels pretty good though. Alright, another jump cut. I'm going to set up the surface plate, and I'm going to go ahead and set up so we can clean this up. Make sure it's flat. See y'all in a bit. Alright, we're over at the surface plate. If you watched my video where we were resurfacing the lower unit on the 15 horse Evinrude, you already know what I'm doing. Still got that same fine grit paper. Just gonna do a wet sanding process. Wow, that sounds fantastic. I did a perfect figure 8. The tip of that screw scratched right into it. Oh, that's sticking out too. I gotta make sure everything's there's nothing protruding beneath the surface of the cylinder head. Kinda makes it not work right. We're gonna be here a while. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, we're just barely touching anything on here. Looks like we're starting to move a little bit. We're going to end up removing a decent amount of material here to get this flat again. This head gasket could have been blown and I didn't realize it. It's so old, it all kind of looks crusty, so need more water. Alright, I think we're starting to move some material on those center bolt holes, so that's a good sign. I'll be happy when I see those fire rings start getting touched. That's where all the work's happening. You don't have to worry about like a water leak on these too much because you know, you're driving around in your water source. Not like you're gonna run out of water. Hard for you to tell. Yeah, we're starting to get somewhere on the ends there. Hey, we might have higher compression. Just kidding. It's not going to be that much. A couple thousandths at best. Kind of wish I had a straight edge ready to go. I have one. It's not handy. I wish I had checked it with that just to see how bad it was. I have another cylinder head for one of these packed up in a box. I've had the second one of these engines I've had, and the last one needed a cylinder head. And then I took the cylinder head off, found out it needed a whole block. So I had ordered that head because it was a really good deal. Could be using it right now. Alright, I'm gonna go get more water so I can wash this plate off. I think we're getting a little clogged up. Yeah, we shouldn't have too much left on this. I think we might just be starting to touch off on one of these rings. Hopefully. Definitely won't make it run worse. Any little bit of combustion leakage on this low compression of an engine, especially at low speeds, is going to be a problem. So if we had some leakage, we won't now. And idle quality will be that much better. Already doesn't run too bad. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. This needed to be done. I think maybe the Subaru guys have to do stuff like this. I think there's an issue with warping cylinder heads on Subaru, like EJ25s or something like that, or EJ20s. And I've seen people do stuff like this. This isn't like the best way to do stuff like this, because you'd rather take it to a machine shop, have them put it on a surface grinder or a fly cutter or something, but this works. Got some Princess tea. Children have their outside toys out here, and one of them is a cup. That's what I needed. The sound of the paper is starting to change a little bit too, I noticed. I don't think it's clogged up, I think we're just getting smoother. Yep, we're touching off on the edges of the chamber now. Starting to get somewhere right here. We're starting to get a little bit of work happening. I'm getting there. Make sure I torque this down good so we don't have any more warpage. I'm okay with having a fine paper and it taking a while to get material off of this, just because of the, you don't want to take too much off. Then you run into problems. I think I'll do another jump cut, come back when I get this finished up, and yeah, then we'll go from there. This is going to take a while. I don't think you want to sit here and watch this. better things to do, right? See you in a bit. Alright, YouTube, we're back. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this cylinder head on. I didn't get absolutely perfect, but this is a pretty thick head gasket that's on these engines. The fire rings on the head gasket, what actually seals the combustion, are pretty thick. I believe they're aluminum or stainless. They're kind of thick and they're soft. So I found out there's a little bit of pitting in the head. So I'm not going to be able to clean that one all the way up anyway, but you can see how thick these rings are here. When they're under torque, it compresses. Yeah, with it being such a low compression engine, it shouldn't matter that much anyway. I was able to get exact replacements for these head bolts, except I think they're not. I think they might have a nickel plating from the factory, or they could be stainless. I'm not exactly sure. They do have rust on them, so I know they're not. They don't hold up forever. But these head bolts here are almost an exact replacement for the head bolts that came on this engine. They sold them at Ace. They're like $1.50 a piece or so. If I run into any problems with them rusting up, I will probably do a nickel electroplating, because that's pretty easy to do, and that shouldn't be very expensive to do. Something I can do at home, be a cool video. So I'm just gonna run the steel bolts and see what happens. There's a lot of steel parts on here. It's part of your maintenance to keep these things clean and salt free. So it shouldn't be too big of an issue to just run the steel bolts in it. I don't think the factory head bolts are available anymore, and if they are, they're probably expensive. I really don't feel like putting a ton of money into this engine, at least not in one place like that. So if it proves to be pretty reliable out on the water, I put a fuel pump on it or do stuff like that. That doesn't seem unnecessary or ridiculous to me on any engine. It's just part of having an engine. So this one internally is not in bad shape, but I'm still not going to dump a ton of money into it. It's not worth a whole lot of money. It's not a car or a truck either. Run these in. Yep, we're running that head bolt into that spot with the new threads. Seems to be going in pretty good. I don't have a service manual for this, so I don't know what the torque spec is supposed to be on these head bolts. So just gonna might just have to guess. Especially because you're probably not going to get a torque wrench on these bottom 3 head bolts. Maybe this one I'm working on here, but the bottom one in the middle, you're not getting anything on that. It's just so close to the bottom. It's really not fun to take apart. It's another one of those where you really have to split the case to do the work on it properly. But that is an absolute pain on these 9.5s. Splitting the case, taking the engine out, can take you a couple hours. And if you can avoid it, you should. I've split the case on one before, and it's a nightmare. There's so many little pieces in there, and a lot of them need to be replaced. And it's better off not knowing about them. There's little motor mounts in there. They're like $100 a piece. And that's not something I want to have to break and have to replace. Or break and then don't replace, which is more likely the case. because I'm not spending $100 a piece on motor mounts on this. All right. Yeah, I should be able to put that pump on there and put it in the can, some water. Should be able to run it here once I get these head bolts on. It hasn't been running a little while, so there's a good chance that the carburetor will need to be cleaned. Hopefully not, but we gonna see. Yeah, these threads on this helic wheel feel really nice. Yep, seems like it's holding up to some torque there. Didn't put too much on it. I have some semblance of doing it right. I actually do it in a somewhat of a sequence, so I'm just getting them to bottomed onto the head for now. There's this lovely bottom one. It really is a lot of fun. And that sarcastically. Hopefully the threads are decent. You can kind of hand tighten it in there. Guess I'll pull that spark plug out. Yeah, you can't even get the closed end of a wrench on there. It's just running into the head. I guess this one will get tight first. Click. 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 See, I'm torquing them down. Click. 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 Alright, I'll stop. It's not that funny. None tighter than stripped. And another issue I gotta do repair is I gotta put a new recoil starter gear on it. The teeth are chewed up on that one because I think it kicked back on it one time and I started eating the teeth off. So we gotta put a gear on it, but for now we'll just do the old school way and wrap a rope around the flywheel. Put that fuel pump on. I think we're ready to go. Just move it over to where I'll be able to put a bucket under it, because trash can won't fit under it at this point where it's sitting now. So I'll have to move it. Make sure I see that gasket crushed a little bit. We don't want a vacuum leak. Alright, so that's finished up for now. I'm going to go ahead and transfer this over to the other location where I can set up a water tank, and I'll be back. Alright, we are over to the other trailer and they're filling up the trash can. Well, I can't find I actually bought a regular pull rope and a handle to put on there. Alright, so I bought a regular pull rope and handle, but I don't know where I put it. It's been a little while since I started this engine. I think I pulled over the big 4-cylinder with it, 115 horsepower. Yeah, so it's full now. I'm going to leave it running because I'm going to end up putting it in gear and, you know, leaving it under a load. I'm not too worried about it. I'll just use this bigger rope. If it doesn't, I've started it with that before. If it don't start easy, then there's something wrong with it, because these usually start pretty easily. But it has been a while, so I'm not going to be mad if it does take a bit to get started. I think that's about the right height for the water level. Take this knot out of here. It's not helping me any. I don't know why there's a knot in it. I'm going to go turn this water down so it's not going nuts over here. Now I just got it put back together. Make a little YouTube video of it. That's mine. Yeah. Yeah. I'm recording a video right now. Alright, so looks like I'm probably going to have to clean the carburetor out. I'm going to go ahead and jump cut, figure out what's going on there. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. I'll be right back. Alright, so a couple of updates on this carburetor. Got a piece of copper wire. Just pushed it up through the jet. Doesn't seem to be plugged. I also found my pull rope. Probably put it in a pretty good place up in the toolbox of my truck. Seems like a good location for that. I'm not entirely sure why this thing don't want to stay running. I don't have any carb cleaner to spray in it either. might have some. Check. Oh, well, that's a shame. I don't have any. Whatever will we do? Alright, so I'm gonna just see what happens. I ran it through there, it didn't seem like it was clogged. Maybe just need a little run time. Gotta be careful not to make the mistake I did before. There's a little cam follower on this, because the throttle is actuated by a camshaft. Or not a camshaft, but there's a little cam plate that is, you know, you got the points plate and everything that turns underneath here, then you got a cam plate, and the little cam on the side is what pushes the throttle. There's a little plastic follower on it that keeps it from wearing the, I basically put a wear item, like a nylon wear item between two pieces so that you didn't tear anything up. So if it wore out, you just replace the plastic piece instead of the roller part on the throttle or the cam plate itself. Kind of smart. That's how they used to build things, 51 years ago. That's how old this engine is. 51. And we'll put it to work until it's dead. Bowl's nice and full. And look at that. I got a pull rope. I can get a good pull on this thing. Hopefully this pump didn't go bad. It's brand new. Should be fine. It lost the pressure at the bulb there. Emptied the bulb. Dark quick here. Might have to cut this one off for tonight. Come back next week, I don't know. Coughing at idle. I don't know what that is. Try to bring the RPMs down and it just starts coughing. That's what it was doing when I brought it in from the water. I don't like that. I think we're going to have to start looking into that ignition system. I think the timing may be off on this and causing it to have a balance issue and causing that thing to stutter. As you can hear it, you know, it runs smooth, and then you start dropping the idle, and then it just starts coughing. So we could have lost a points adjustment or something like that for making it spit back. I'll fight with it for a few more minutes because it has been a while since it's ran, but it seems to be exhibiting pretty much the same problem they had before. I never did change. I got this motor a few years ago, and it was, you know, waterlogged and all that, sitting outside under a side of a shed. I don't know if it was waterlogged, but it was in a pretty filthy position when I got it. Never did change the points and condensers, so it's very possible that's all it needs. Yeah, now I don't even want to start. One more time, and then I'm gonna call it. I think the pump's not working. It's losing pressure at the bulb. Not good. Alright, looks like I got some more work to do to figure this thing out. Maybe for another day, because it's getting dark. See y'all next time.